Just ahead on Catholic Chicago, we'll get an update on how our schools are coping with COVID-19 and what's on the horizon for our students and families. We'll take you to the streets as parish food pantries deliver food directly to those who need it most. And ringing in the Year of the Tiger with Catholics in Chinatown. That's all ahead on Catholic Chicago.
The Archdiocese of Chicago is a vibrant and diverse faith community. We celebrate our faith through worship, evangelization, and reaching out to the needy. Welcome to Catholic Chicago.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us today for Catholic Chicago. I'm Todd Williamson, Director of the Office for Divine Worship for the Archdiocese of Chicago. As the COVID-19 pandemic stretches into its third year, the Office of Chicago Catholic Schools is working to keep students and staff safe, healthy, and in school. The success of our schools has received national attention. Joining me today to talk about that effort and to learn how schools are handling the challenges presented by COVID-19 is Greg Richmond, Superintendent of the Office of Catholic Schools. Greg, thank you for joining us today. It's good to meet you. This is the first time that you and I have met, and you've been on the here with the Archdiocese for a couple of months now. I'm glad to have you here.
Well, Todd, it's nice to meet you. Even though we're in separate rooms in the studio, it's good to see your face. That's how we seem to meet most people these days, right?
Yep.
Through a TV screen. So
Yep.
I'm delighted to be here.
Exactly. I look forward to working with you in the next couple of years. Say, listen, the COVID-19 pandemic, like we noted, it's into its third year. How have the schools weathered it up to this point?
Yeah, good question. It's two stories in one. The important thing is, I think that our schools have done a phenomenal job staying open, providing good instruction in person for our students. So it's really important to remember what a fantastic accomplishment that is, yet again, for our schools, that they've been able to be open in-person instruction, maintaining safety protocols. That's just phenomenal. So in that regard, how are schools weathering it? I mean, the important thing is they're doing a great job teaching our kids.
They really are. They really are. As we said, we've received national attention for our schools here. What remains the biggest challenge at this point?
Well, so the big challenge is how hard it is to work to make that happen, both for I'll say the adults in our schools and the kids. So for the kids, especially because of quarantine or isolation protocols, if you catch COVID or if you're in close contact with somebody who had COVID, a lot of times they're being told, oh, now you have to stay home for a number of days, or you have to miss out on your team's next game. Those are some hard things for kids.
I can imagine.
For the adults, it's keeping track of all that. It's fielding the calls from parents. Parents have been fantastic about letting the school know if my child is sick, answering calls, letting you know, well, your child may have been in close contact. Keeping track of all of that is a lot of work, and that has been a big demand on the times of our school staff, our principals, our secretaries, our teachers, our staff. So that's the big challenge. It's a lot of work to make our schools be able to stay open and function how well as they have been.
I can only imagine. The decision to keep students in the classrooms and the protocols in place, none of that is taken lightly. Mm-hmm. So how do Chicago Catholic schools go about making those decisions?
Yeah, good question. Our first and foremost in our mind, our goal is to be able to provide a continuity of safe in-person instruction. So let me say what that means. We don't want our schools to be a place that contributes to the spread of the virus to others. So that's what we mean by being safe, is not becoming spreaders of the virus. Continuity means we don't want to have these spikes where, we're in one day, we're out the next, we're in, we're out. That's very disruptive. So we're trying to manage things in a way that provides that continuity of safe in-person instruction, and have had a lot of success doing that. Right now, we're recording this in early February. Yesterday was February 2nd. There was not a single classroom in our school system yesterday that was out of in-person instruction because of COVID. Not a single classroom in 154 schools.
That is amazing.
Phenomenal
that is amazing.
accomplishment.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
And it's to the credit of our principals, our teachers, our staff, our parents, our students. Everybody is working together to try to make this happen, and we're having a lot of success on it.
And that's probably the most important point, right? That everyone is working together.
That's right. You can't do this alone.
No.
We affect each other, right? We want to be in person together. So people are looking out for each other. Take care of thy neighbor.
Yeah.
is the philosophy.
Yeah.
And for 2 years now, our schools have been doing this. We've learned a lot during that 2 years about what matters, what counts.
Yeah.
Maybe some things 2 years ago we thought were important are less important, and vice versa.
Listen, something that is, I think, of concern to many people is the social and the emotional well-being of children and teenagers as the pandemic has lingered on. How can schools best help them in this area?
Right. So important. The number one thing of importance on that well-being, that social and emotional well-being, the number one thing is to be able to have school in person. That's what we've seen around the country, around the world. It's what our health experts, mental health experts are saying, that in person, being able to be in person is critical. It's not enough. From there, we've been talking with our schools, encouraging the teachers, hey, you have to acknowledge that this is hard. Be willing to talk about the challenge that kids are facing in this pandemic. Support each other as you hear about how other challenges people might be having. So talk about it. Support each other is so critical. Have those conversations, and doing it in person is the best way.
Can make all the difference, right?
Yeah. The thing I want to add to that, just two other thoughts. One is, when the pandemic does end, whatever that means, when it ends, we still have to be mindful of the social and emotional challenges our young people face. And what I mean by that is, before the pandemic, it was already a hard time to be a young person in our society. When you think of all of the social media that consumes our children's screen time, I sometimes call it anti-social media, because it breeds isolation and loneliness and feelings like, well, I'm not good enough. So it's really important that we be there for students to support them even after the pandemic is over, and have those conversations. And we work this into our instructional days in our schools. The importance of, it's that Catholic faith, being there for each other, supporting each other as part of our faith is so important, and that's how we can support the social and emotional well-being of our students.
I love that. I agree 100%. Supporting each other is part of our faith. Superintendent of Catholic schools here in the Archdiocese of Chicago, Greg Richmond, what a pleasure to have you here. Thanks so much for spending time. Thanks for talking to us and our viewers about our schools during this time.
Thank you, Todd. My pleasure.
Superintendent Richmond was able to give us an overview of what's happening in our schools, but there's nothing like seeing it firsthand. Let's head to the South Side now for a visit to Immaculate Conception Catholic School as we learn how the annual Catholic Appeal is helping them keep a number of projects alive.
We are at Immaculate Conception School in South Chicago. In the mornings, I like to come and greet the students when they're coming into the school, and you can see their smile on their faces.
Honestly, it feels like we're all part of a family. We rely on each other.
They tell you, I really like being in school, and when we don't have school, I mean, they want to come back. They want to come, and they tell their parents that they want to come back. 85% of our students come from immigrant families.
One of the things that we also do here is we make sure that we celebrate, all the cultures from the diverse ethnic groups that we have. They learn from each other's cultures.
So that makes it a very nice environment in the classrooms because they learn from each other, not only from the teachers, but from their classmates. I'm very proud of seeing how the students are growing in their faith.
If you have God in your life, that is something that's always going to be there with you, and you can carry that along, and it will guide you and take you to places that you may not have known were there.
The annual Catholic Appeal has supported our school, Immaculate Conception, by giving scholarships to our students. I don't even think that our school would be able to run without that help.
You can learn more about Immaculate Conception School on South Exchange by visiting their website, icschoolexc.org. Still ahead on Catholic Chicago, a road trip that helps get food to those who need it most.
I feel special. I feel great. I got good grades.
We've seen a huge surge in our kids now meeting or exceeding grade level. Come check us out. You may have never thought we were an option before.
I'm Todd Williamson, and welcome back to Catholic Chicago. During the pandemic, the numbers of people in need of assistance from the food pantries of the Archdiocese has more than doubled in many cases. The Most Blessed Trinity Food Pantry in Waukegan has played a vital role in getting food assistance to those who turn up in need. But whether it's mobility issues or COVID concerns, not everyone can make it to the pantry. The generosity of parishioners through the annual Catholic Appeal now helps the pantry get food directly to the doorsteps of those who need it most.
This is the food pantry at Most Blessed Trinity Parish. The food pantry serves the community. It's a conduit between us and the communities of North Chicago, Park City, and Waukegan.
So we prepare food baskets for the people. We bring those even to their homes, especially if they're sick with COVID. And as we deliver food, I know there's families where it's really hard. Well, I had a van that was easily 20 years old and that I had picked up for a few dollars. And we were having to fix it.
The van broke down continuously. It actually stranded our people on the side of the road. We received a grant from the Archdiocese for $20,000. We were able to help put that towards our new 2013 cargo van, which is much more reliable, has double the capacity, so it's been a dream for our team.
This current van carries an awful lot of stuff, and we're really delighted to be able to put all kinds of things in it.
We were serving previously about 200 family members a day. Now we're serving 400 family members a day. But to me, it's more than a new van, it's a lifeline to our community. And so this has just been a godsend to us, and we're eternally grateful for the good work of the Archdiocese, the parishioners, and those that give to the annual Catholic Appeal.
In addition to the food pantry, Most Blessed Trinity Parish also operates a soup kitchen for those in need of a warm meal and a friendly smile. Police departments are working nationwide to build stronger and more positive ties to the communities they serve. The Chicago Police Department is no exception. Recently, Father Greg Sakowitz and Mark Teresi visited with Officer Michael Carroll, the new religious liaison officer for the department.
So the position started last year, and they came up with many of these organizations, one of these officers that are officers work in different communities. So we have a liaison for the faith-based community, which is me. We have an officer for the homeless community, LGBT officers. So the focus is working with people in those communities that might not have a good connection with officers. So my focus is people who are in smaller faith groups. So the Jewish community, the Catholic community, groups that are not have as many as other. Granted, there are more Catholics in the city than some might think, but it is a way for me to connect with those different communities that might not have a good relationship with officers or may have no relationship with officers. So the focus is for me to do outreach to those groups and learn more about them. I know much about them, but they might not know about officers. So the more that we know as officers about those faith groups, the better that we can serve them in our community.
Michael, did you inherit the position or did you create the position?
It was put out because it is part of the consent decree. So I had put in through it. So in school, I had studied theology. I had lived overseas. I have lived in a bunch of places. When I was in high school, the Jesuits, I drank the Kool-Aid, let's say. So I wanted to make service part of my life. So after college, I was in the Peace Corps, and I volunteered in Africa and in Asia. And then my time living over there, I wanted to learn as much as I could about different faith groups and faith communities and just serve my community. This position with the department just kind of fit that bill. When it came out, I said, this is perfect for me because this was my background when I had lived overseas, serving the community in different groups that might not be like my family, like my community.
But in your life, with your foundation in Catholicism, but you wanted to give your life as a police officer, when did you make that decision to say, I want to serve the people of God as a Chicago police officer?
So for me, I always wanted to be a cop. So growing up, what did you want to be when you grew up? I want to be an astronaut. I want to dance. I want to whatever. I always wanted to be a cop. I never thought that I actually would be. I went in college. I went to a Jesuit school. I went to Fairfield University in Fairfield, Connecticut. So for me, I wanted to make service part of my life. So I went into the Peace Corps, and like everything with all of us, I was there during the terrorist attacks. Oh, so wow. I watched, I was in Africa, and I watched on the television, they had firebombed a mosque in the south suburbs of our city, and they had killed, I think it was 1 or 2 Sikhs who aren't even Muslim. So these things are happening, and people are blaming others for things that happen that have nothing to do with their faith. And it just clicked. I came home after the terrorist attacks, and just by chance, the test was being offered for the department. I did that, took the test, and I left again and lived 9 months at an AIDS hospice and orphanage in Bangkok, Thailand, with Father Joseph Meyer. So for me, it was this service that I chose. It just kind of fell into place, but ended up being the perfect spot for me. I chased bad guys and did, crime fighting for about a decade before I went into other positions. And this is my current position that I'm proud to have.
Officer Michael Carroll was a guest on our Catholic Chicago video stream. You can hear his complete interview by visiting our YouTube page, Catholic Chicago. In early February, the world ushered in the Year of the Tiger, and millions celebrated the Lunar New Year. Chicago's Chinatown was a local focal point for the celebrations. For more than 2 decades, St. Mother Teresa of Calcutta Parish community has combined elements of Chinese New Year cultural customs before and during their celebratory Mass. Here's a look at their festivities.
fireworks, liturgical dance, and line dance. They symbolize awakening, newness, luck, and blessings. Every year we have this joyful and festival celebration. People are always happy to be together, joyful spirit. New Year is always a time of renewal, recommitment. Tiger symbolizes courage and strength. So as we continue to face all the challenges in our lives, particularly the pandemic and violence, we want to renew our commitment, find courage in the Lord. We are grateful to each other and to our God. We hope and pray the spirit of the new year helps us to renew ourselves, our relationships with our God and with one another, so that we can live together in peace and harmony. Is a big wish, but we trust and we know God can help us to do that.
In Chinese culture, the Lunar New Year was typically a time to honor ancestors and to pray for a good harvest. We all have hidden talents. But when it comes to Father Lou Camelli, it's his skills in the kitchen, and he loves to share. Sit back now as he serves up the rich and savory Roman treat, pasta alla carbonara.
When I came back from Italy, I really wanted to eat what I ate in Italy, so I learned how to cook. I'm going to cook spaghetti carbonara. This is a very simple recipe. It's pasta, it's eggs, it's pancetta, it's cheese, it's pepper. That's it. In 1966, after a 10-day boat trip from New York, I arrived in Italy with 50 classmates. In Rome, one of the first things I had was spaghetti carbonara. It's a very Roman thing, very Roman. During the Second World War, American servicemen were in Italy. Americans love bacon and eggs, so what do the Italians do? They marry the pasta with the bacon and eggs. It involves cooking the pasta and then adding to it raw eggs that cook on the hot pasta. I would start by cooking the pancetta, or if you're really desperate, American bacon, and cooking it to a kind of a medium crisp. Take the eggs, mix them up. 4 eggs per pound of pasta. Also have ready a cup of grated cheese, Parmesan, Pecorino, as you wish. And then also have ready some ground black pepper. You cook the pasta and drain it. Here you have the pasta. It's real hot. You put the raw eggs on, mix the pasta, and the eggs cook on the pasta. And move quickly, not on top of the stove, because if you do that, you're going to end up with scrambled eggs on top of pasta. Then add the pancetta. Then add the cheese and pepper. And then serve it immediately. It's not something you can eat every day, because it might do a little bit of a job on your heart, but once in a while, it's just a marvelous treat.
St. Alphonsus Parish on the north side has a special campus. Sitting beside it is the Athenaeum Theater, dating back to 1911. The beautiful space can seat 900 people. Chicago Catholic editor Joyce DeRiga spoke with Katie Joy Doffenbeck about how the space has now been converted into the Athenaeum Center for Thought and Culture, a place to showcase a better understanding of the Catholic faith on stage.
So tell everybody what the Athenaeum Center for Culture, Thought and Culture is. Yeah, so the Athenaeum Center for Thought and Culture, it's a theater building that was built by the Redemptorist Fathers back in 1911 as part of the St. Alphonsus campus. So it's owned by the Archdiocese, but over the last several years, it's kind of been operated by different non-religious entities. So really, our hope with now starting this new Athenaeum Center for Thought and Culture is to really bring it back to our roots. And our mission at the Athenaeum is to invite people into encounters with beauty and to really revitalize the great Catholic tradition of the arts from this location in one of Chicago's most unique religious, artistic, and civic buildings. We have a lot of space. It's a really big building, as you saw from the photos there. There's a 1,000 seat proscenium theater, and then we also have 2 black box studio theaters. And then we're actually in the process, we just broke ground on a new multi-purpose event space. It's going to be like a really, really gorgeous new space that we can use for, retreats, lectures, receptions. The goal with our new organization, the Athenaeum Center for Thought and Culture, is to really start curating our own programming and producing new works that kind of promote this mission of bringing more beauty into the world and into culture.
It's exciting. How did you guys come up? It was you and your husband mainly who founded this. How did it come about?
The Athenaeum was run by different organizations and not really associated with the church. Many people don't realize that it was owned by St. Al's, was owned by the Archdiocese. They kind of just thought it was its own thing. But, as parishioners, we were like, gosh, there's this beautiful building. It's really being underutilized. How cool would it be if it was like a Catholic center for art? My husband and I are both sort of artists by trade. My background's in theater. His background is in cinematography. So we kind of had this, artistic bent. And then as parishioners, had the Athenaeum in our mind of like, oh gosh, this is such a great resource. I wish the church was taking advantage of this more. And so we kind of had that mindset for years of like, gosh, someone should do something with the Athenaeum. Someone should really do something with the Athenaeum. There's so much potential here. And then it was really on our honeymoon. I think my husband was reading a Bishop Barron book. We're both like big Bishop Barron Word on Fire fans. And he talks a lot about the intersection of faith and beauty. So I think he was reading this book and surrounded by the beauty of the Alps and just like really inspired and steeped in beauty and was like, maybe we should do something about the Athenaeum. And that's what really started getting the ball rolling on, okay, if we were to, take over this building, what would it look like? How would we do this? And that started the process about, 3-4 years ago. And just in this past year, we've really been able to, get started.
It's exciting.
Our thanks again to Joyce and Katie Joy. If you'd like to visit the Athenaeum Theater, it's located at 2936 North Southport. Remember, you can connect with new Catholic content and news from the Archdiocese each day by visiting our video streams. Just log on to our YouTube channel, Catholic Chicago. We also want to remind you that you can join us virtually and on the air for our weekly Sunday Masses from Holy Name Cathedral. They're available online at our Facebook page and our YouTube channel, Catholic Chicago. Our Masses are also broadcast each Sunday. ABC 7 is the home of our English Mass at 9:30 a.m. Spanish Masses are broadcast on Unimas Channel 60 at 5:30 a.m. and Pole Vision broadcasts our Masses each Sunday at 9 a.m. and 3 p.m. That does it for this edition of Catholic Chicago, but we look forward to seeing you next time. I'm Todd Williamson, and thank you for joining us.
We invite you to watch segments of Catholic Chicago and hundreds of additional Catholic videos at youtube.com/Catholic Chicago. Like us on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter.